If you feel like finding donors is getting harder every year, you're not imagining it. The ground really is shifting. And if you keep using the same fundraising advice that worked 5 or 10 years ago, it's going to feel more exhausting and less reliable every single year. Here's what no one is saying out loud. Small grassroots donors are disappearing. The $10, $25, and $50 donors that quietly keep small nonprofits alive are declining year over year. Meanwhile, you keep hearing headlines that charitable giving is up. And technically, that's true, but more money is being donated, but it's coming from fewer people. That matters because when fewer people give, small nonprofits feel it first. If you don't adjust to this shift, you stay stuck in survival mode. You run more events, you send more appeals, you try harder, and somehow the money still feels unpredictable. That stress doesn't just affect the budget, it can chip away at your confidence as a leader. And if you subscribe to this channel, you know that I've been fundraising for over 30 years and I've watched this exact pattern repeat itself. Good nonprofits don't fail because the mission isn't strong enough. They burn out because the strategy didn't evolve. So here's what we're going to do. By the end of this video, you're going to understand how small nonprofits actually find new donors today, not with hustle, not with gimmicks, with a clear, realistic system that fits your size and capacity. So let's start with the biggest thing, and that's a mindset shift. If you think your problem is we don't have enough donors, that's not actually the problem. The real problem is that most nonprofits start fundraising before they've built anyone to fundraise to. Fundraising campaigns don't necessarily create donors, they activate donors. So when you launch a campaign without a warm audience or warming up an audience on the other side, the campaign has to do all the work. That's when fundraising feels awkward, exhausting, and sometimes even a little embarrassing. You start thinking you're bad at this when really all you did was just skip a step. I mean, this is completely normal, by the way. Not having donors yet is not a failure, it's just a stage. But you have to build the foundation before you can start asking for money. What you need to do first is build a donor prospect list, not a donor list, a prospect list. So our goal is not thousands of random names on a list that might donate to us. Our goal is a living, growing list of aligned prospective donors. Maybe they're not ready to give today, but these are people who are genuinely make sense for your mission. And this list becomes the foundation for everything. So just let me break this down, because step one is capturing warm leads that you already have and adding them to this list. And yes, you do have these, even if it doesn't feel like you have them. So this is things like your past donors, even if they only gave once, volunteers, board members and their networks, newsletter subscribers, event attendees, people who reply to your emails, people who comment on your posts, people who have encouraged you or shared your work in some way. Now, most nonprofits are sitting on dozens of warm names that they've never written down. They're keeping them in their heads instead of in a system, and money gets lost in that gap. Now, step two is expanding your list through alignment, not pitching. So stop thinking in terms of donors and start thinking in terms of who already cares about the issues you work on. Who serves the same audience you serve? What businesses, professionals, faith groups, service clubs, or community leaders overlap with your mission? So who sponsors similar causes? Who shows up in the same spaces? So I just heard a great example of this. There's an arts group that teaches students how to use CAD as part of their creative process. So who makes sense as prospects? Manufacturers, engineering firms, companies that already use CAD every day. Those businesses have a natural vested interest in that work. These people don't need to know you yet. They just need to make sense. So alignment always comes before asking. Now, step three is ongoing list building. And this part is boring. It's unsexy, but it's incredibly powerful. And I do this constantly. I'll scan the news. I'll notice who's sponsoring events. I pay attention to names that come up more than once. I keep a pen and paper in my car. If I pass a business that feels aligned, I write it down. Now let's talk about tracking, because this is where most nonprofits quietly lose thousands of dollars. Now, you don't need a fancy CRM to start. It's a really nice to have though. But we are small nonprofits on super tight budgets, so a simple spreadsheet will work. What matters is how you use it. You track where you found the person, why they're aligned, what stage of the relationship you're in, have they interacted with you, attended something, replied to an email, had a conversation. This is how cold names become familiar. and familiar becomes safe, and safe becomes giving. Now, if you want a super simple spreadsheet that I give my students to get them started, just comment tracker in the comments and I'll shoot you the link. But here's a super important warning. Do not treat this list like an email blast list. The first job of the list that you're building is not fundraising, it's relationships. So before you ever ask for money, you need a simple way to reach out and introduce yourself so people know who you are and why you exist. For individual supporters, this usually starts with maybe email nurturing, short updates, simple stories, a moment from your work, not polished appeals, not constant asks, just enough to help someone recognize your name, understand the importance of your work, the impact that you're making. We make them care first. And for businesses and community partners, the relationship often starts differently. This might be a brief introductory call, a quick email asking for a meeting to learn about the work, or even something as simple as stopping by their business to introduce yourself and say, hey, I wanted to put a face to the name and learn more about what you do. No pitch, no ask, just connection. So this is why I say fundraising starts long before the ask. You're not selling, you're opening a relationship. Now, I worked with a nonprofit that kept launching campaigns to a list of under 100 people and wondering why nothing worked. We paused everything for a few weeks and focused only on building their prospect list and making these initial connections. No fundraising, just introductions and follow-ups. The next campaign that they did launch to this list raised over $20,000, not because the campaign was special, but because the relationships were finally there. So the takeaway is simple. Keep building the list, keep building the relationships, then fundraise from that place. When you do it in this order, fundraising stops feeling forced. You're not chasing strangers or starting from zero every time. You're inviting people who already know you, trust you, and care about your work. That's how fundraising becomes more predictable and a lot less exhausting. And in the video up next, I'll show you one of the easiest ways to do this with businesses using by drive-by fundraising method, a low pressure way to start relationships before you ever ask. And thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, drop that comment if you want the tracker, and I'll see you next week.